You know, we live in an age that worships improvement. Everywhere you turn, someone is offering to make you better. Better habits, better thoughts, better productivity, better emotions. We scroll through endless advice on how to optimize ourselves, as if life were a competition to be won, rather than a mystery to be lived. And yet, in all this striving to become better, almost no one stops to ask the most basic question, better than who I already am? Because hidden beneath the surface of every self-help method, every motivational video, every book promising transformation, lies a quiet and poisonous idea. You are not enough. That simple sentence fuels an entire civilization of anxious hearts, forever chasing a version of themselves that doesn't exist. But what if I told you, the race you're running has no finish line? That there was never anything wrong with you to begin with? Imagine for a moment that you are a wave on the ocean. The wave rises, curls, collapses, reforms. It dances with the wind. It shimmers in the sunlight. Now picture that wave suddenly becoming self-aware and saying, "Oh dear, I'm such a mess. I rise and fall all the time. I'm inconsistent. I must learn how to hold my shape." You'd laugh at the absurdity of it. The wave is the motion. Its beauty is in its impermanence. And yet, that is precisely the absurdity of the human condition. We spend our lives trying to hold still, trying to fix the motion that is life. We treat ourselves like machines that came off the factory line with defective parts. We carry toolkits full of techniques, therapies, and goals. We tighten this screw, adjust that setting, download a new patch of positive thinking, all in the hope that one day we'll finally be fully functional. But consciousness is not a machine. Life is not a production line. You are not an object to be upgraded. You are a process to be witnessed. From childhood, we are told, be good, improve yourself, fix your weaknesses. And so, very early, a split appears in the mind, between the self that is and the self that should be, between the living reality of who you are and the imaginary ideal of who you're supposed to become. That split is the birth of suffering, because once you believe you should be something other than what you are, you will spend your whole life in exile from yourself. You will always be chasing the mirage of perfection. The tragedy is that this chase feels noble. It feels responsible. We call it discipline, self-mastery, progress. But beneath all that effort lies a quiet despair. The fear that who we are, left alone, is not enough. If you look closely at nature, you'll notice that nothing in it tries to fix itself. A tree doesn't stand in the forest comparing its height to the trees beside it. It doesn't whisper, "I should really work on my branches." It simply grows toward the light. When the soil is good, it flourishes. When the storm comes, it bends. When winter arrives, it rests. That's the wisdom of life itself, a perfect balance of growth and surrender. But we've forgotten that we are part of that same nature. We think of ourselves as faulty hardware, not living gardens. We prune ourselves too harshly. We overwater our anxieties, and in doing so, we lose touch with the quiet intelligence that already knows how to grow. Somewhere along the way, you installed an inner supervisor, a tiny manager that watches your every move. Was that productive? Did you respond correctly? Are you improving fast enough? This inner manager never sleeps. It takes notes. It compares you to others. It grades your performance. And you've been working for this invisible boss for so long that you've forgotten you ever had another life. The simple life of being. But ask yourself, who is it that notices this inner critic? Who is the one aware of the constant evaluation? That awareness, the silent witness behind all your thoughts, has never once been broken. It's the sky in which the clouds of thought pass by. Storms come and go, but the sky is never damaged. You are that sky. not the weather that moves through it. But surely, you might say, we do make mistakes. We do have things to improve, of course. But there's a world of difference between learning and fixing. A child learning to walk doesn't think, "I'm such a failure at walking." They fall, they laugh. They try again, not because they believe they're broken, but because walking looks fun. Growth happens naturally when it isn't poisoned by self-judgment. You can learn new skills, heal old wounds, evolve your habits, all without carrying the burden that you are a problem in need of repair. When you drop that burden, learning becomes play again. Effort becomes expression, not punishment. There are two ways to approach change. The first, as a mechanic fixing a malfunctioning machine. Always looking for what's wrong, always tightening the bolts of the soul. The second, as a gardener tending a living thing, trusting the intelligence of life, providing light, water, and space, then letting nature do the rest. The mechanic battles defects. The gardener collaborates with growth. Which are you? When you trust your nature, you stop fighting yourself. You stop trying to force life into a mold. You allow your unique shape to emerge, the way a river learns the land by moving with it, not against it. This is not passivity. It's participation. It's the courage to let life live through you, rather than constantly trying to edit the script. Now, you might be wondering, if I stop trying to fix myself, won't I just stagnate? Won't I stop growing? It's a fair question. We've been so deeply conditioned to equate self-criticism with progress that the absence of it feels dangerous. We think, if I stop pushing, I'll fall apart. But have you noticed that even when you're not pushing, life keeps going? Your heart beats without your permission. Your breath flows without your instruction. The earth spins, the stars burn, the grass grows, all without your anxious supervision. Do you really believe that the same intelligence that created galaxies needs you to constantly micromanage your own existence? Growth is built into the fabric of life itself. You cannot stop evolving, any more than a flower can stop turning toward the sun. Let's talk about that word, complacency. It's the great fear of the self-improvement age. We imagine that if we accept ourselves, we'll lose our drive. That contentment equals laziness. That peace is a form of giving up. But notice how that belief serves the machinery of endless striving. The industries that sell us improvement, courses, books, supplements, affirmations, all depend on our belief that peace is dangerous. But real peace isn't passive, it's spacious. When you're not busy attacking yourself, you free up enormous energy, energy that can flow into creativity, connection, love, and discovery. You stop fixing and start living. Think for a moment how much energy you spend every day evaluating yourself. Am I doing this right? Should I be further along? Am I enough yet? It's a full-time job, a job you never applied for, yet somehow got hired to perform indefinitely. Now imagine all that energy suddenly being released, like taking a heavy backpack off your shoulders after a long climb. What might happen if all that mental noise fell silent, even for a few moments? What if that energy returned to its original purpose? Awareness itself. In that stillness, something remarkable begins to unfold. You realize that the drive to fix yourself was never about love. It was about fear. Fear of not being enough. Fear of not belonging. Fear that without constant effort, you'll disappear. But you are not your efforts. You are the awareness that sees them. When you stop fighting yourself, you don't vanish. You reappear. Imagine sitting at a piano. If every time you play a note, you think, "That's not quite right. I need to improve," your attention splits. Half on the music, half on the judgment. How much presence remains for listening? But if you sit at the piano with no agenda, simply allowing sound to move through your hands, something beautiful happens. You are not playing music anymore. Music is playing you. This is the secret of effortless action, what the Taoists call Wu Wei, action without strain, movement without resistance. When you drop the compulsion to fix yourself, you don't stop growing, you start flowing. And growth born from flow is far more powerful than growth born from struggle. All living things have a rhythm, day and night, inhale and exhale, tide and retreat. Even stars are born, burn, collapse, and return to dust. You are part of that same rhythm. There are seasons of expansion and seasons of rest, times for doing and times for simply being. But the mind, ruled by its inner supervisor, doesn't trust rhythm. It only trusts acceleration. It says, go faster, be better, never stop. Yet what's alive in you doesn't move in straight lines. It moves in cycles. Every moment of stillness, every pause, every seeming regression is part of a larger dance of unfolding. If you stop labeling those pauses as failure, you might discover that the quiet times are when the deepest roots grow. We all carry inside us a portrait, an image of who we think we should be. The perfect self. Calm, confident, always productive, spiritually enlightened, emotionally unshakable. We measure ourselves against this mirage every day. But that image was painted by countless hands, parents, teachers, advertising, culture. It isn't yours, and yet you suffer every time you fail to match it. The irony is, even if you somehow became that perfect self, you'd still be haunted by the next level of perfection waiting beyond it. The ladder never ends because it was built on illusion. You cannot become what you already are. You can only realize it. And realization is not an achievement. It's a recognition, a remembering. Something extraordinary happens when you realize you were never broken. You begin to relax, not in a careless, lazy way, but in a deep, cellular way. Your breath softens. Your eyes see differently. You notice how much beauty there already is, and how little effort it takes to appreciate it. You stop rushing toward life, and begin to be carried by it. This is the quiet revolution. No fireworks, no grand declarations, just a deep exhale and a small smile that says, I was home all along. When you let go of fixing, you don't stop noticing things about yourself. You just stop interfering with them. You watch anger arise and pass like thunder. You watch joy bloom and fade like sunlight on water. You watch fear, love, boredom, confusion, all of it, move through you like weather through the sky. And you begin to see that none of it ever touches what you truly are. The sky doesn't apologize for its storms. It doesn't feel guilty for being cloudy. It doesn't try to hold on to its sunsets. It just allows. And in allowing, it remains infinite. Soft, ambient music swells slightly, a contemplative pause. You are that same infinity, momentarily pretending to be a person trying to fix themselves, the wave playing at being a wave. The ocean pretending to be separate from itself. Let's talk about emotions. Those shifting tides within us that we keep trying to control, correct, or escape. We've been taught to treat emotions like enemies or exams. If we feel sadness and we think something's wrong. If we feel anger and we think we failed spiritually. If we feel fear, we think we've lost control. But emotions were never meant to be fixed. They were meant to be felt. Think of emotions as the weather of consciousness. Some days are clear, others stormy. Sometimes you wake up under the bright warmth of joy, and other times the clouds roll in without warning. But the sky, the awareness, remains untouched. Rain doesn't stain it. Thunder doesn't harm it. Even the darkest night cannot swallow it. You are that sky, and all your emotions, all your thoughts, all your moods are simply movements of energy passing through. They come to be felt, not fixed. When you stop labeling them as good or bad, you begin to notice that each one carries its own kind of beauty. Grief softens you. Anger sharpens your truth. Fear teaches humility. Joy opens your heart. Each feeling is an intelligent guest, bringing a message from the deeper intelligence of life. We spend so much time trying to manage how we feel. But what if emotions are not problems to be solved, but messages to be listened to? Like waves, they rise because something beneath the surface wants to be seen. When sadness comes, maybe it's not punishment. Maybe it's an invitation to rest. When anger flares, maybe it's not failure. Maybe it's truth saying, enough. When fear appears, maybe it's your system whispering, slow down, be gentle. To listen without trying to fix. That's what presence really means. You don't stand on the shore shouting at the ocean to calm down. You sit beside it. You let it move. You trust that the waves know their own way back to stillness. You are not a machine to be optimized. You are not an algorithm to be corrected. You are nature itself, as wild, mysterious, and untamable as the wind through the trees. And like nature, you are not always supposed to be balanced. Sometimes you are thunder, sometimes sunlight, sometimes a storm that breaks open the sky, but always, always, part of something vast, intelligent, and alive. The tree doesn't apologize for losing its leaves. The river doesn't feel guilty for overflowing. The moon doesn't try to stay full forever, so why should you? To live in harmony with yourself is not to be endlessly calm or perfect. It's to trust that every phase, every emotion, every version of you has its own sacred purpose. You are a paradox. The stillness and the motion, the dreamer and the dream, the one who forgets and the one who remembers. You will contradict yourself 1,000 times in this lifetime. You'll love and hate the same person. You'll believe and doubt the same idea. You'll chase freedom and crave safety all in the same breath, and that's okay. Contradiction isn't confusion, it's complexity. It's the mark of being fully alive. To demand consistency from yourself is to demand that life stop evolving. But life is change, and so are you. There is a quiet intelligence flowing through everything. It makes seeds sprout, rivers carve valleys, and hearts keep beating in the dark. That same intelligence breathes you. It knows how to grow you, heal you, unfold you. When you stop trying to control every moment, that intelligence has room to move. When you stop clinging, life begins to carry you like a current carrying a leaf downstream. You don't need to make life happen. Life is happening. All you need is to allow it. You see, allowing is not weakness. It's trust. It's the deepest form of strength. It takes courage to stop fixing, to stop manipulating outcomes, to simply be here, unprotected, undefended, open. But that's where the beauty is born. Not from perfection, but from participation. Imagine a river, endlessly flowing, winding through forests and fields. Sometimes it's calm, sometimes it rages. Sometimes it disappears underground only to resurface later. That river is your life, and all the while you stand on the bank, trying to scoop it into buckets, analyzing it, purifying it, managing it, but no matter what you do, the river keeps flowing. Because its nature is flow. You can't fix the river. You can only trust it. In the same way, you cannot fix your life. You can only live it. And living means being carried, not by your will, but by something much deeper, the rhythm of existence itself. So much of our suffering comes not from life itself, but from the stories we tell about life. We say, "This shouldn't have happened. I should be better by now. I need to fix this before I can be happy." But what if happiness isn't at the end of that sentence? What if it's in the silence that comes after you stop saying it? The story of who you think you should be is just that, a story. And every moment you drop it, reality appears, raw, unscripted, breathtakingly alive. The mind says, "This moment isn't enough." Awareness whispers, "It already is." You were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be real, to feel deeply, to break open, to grow and rest, to fall and rise again, all as part of the great rhythm of existence. You don't need to fix the wave. You are the ocean remembering itself. You have searched for peace for so long, trying to earn it, achieve it, deserve it. But peace was never a reward. It was your nature. Like water searching for wetness, you were looking for what you already are. Imagine standing before a mirror and believing that the reflection is who you are. You adjust your hair, change your expression, trying to make the image look better. But the mirror was never the problem. The reflection was never broken. It was only a play of light. And all the fixing, all the polishing, was the dance of a dream trying to perfect itself. You are not the reflection. You are the awareness in which both the mirror and the reflection appear. And when you realize this, you stop polishing the mirror and begin to enjoy the reflection, ripples, cracks, and all. There comes a moment, quiet and small, when the seeking simply stops. Not because you've found everything you wanted, but because you realize you were never separate from it. The seeker disappears into the sought. The river merges with the sea. The question dissolves into the answer that was always whispering, "You were never lost." This is not enlightenment as an achievement. It is the ordinary miracle of being awake. Here, now, no trumpets, no halos, no finish line. Just this: the sound of your breath, the rhythm of your heart, the pulse of life being life. Coming home is not about finding a new version of yourself. It's about remembering the one that was never gone, the child who laughed without reason, the being who didn't compare or analyze, who simply was. Somewhere along the way, you were taught to trade that simplicity for perfection, to replace being with becoming. But the way back is not forward, it's inward. It's not a new technique or belief. It's a gentle surrender, a soft exhale into what's already here. You've been holding your breath for years, trying to control, to perform, to fix. Now just breathe. Let it all fall apart and notice. Nothing essential is ever lost. Life is not a problem to be solved. It's not a puzzle with missing pieces or a ladder to climb. It's a game not of winning but of playing, and like any beautiful game, its purpose is not to reach the end, but to experience the joy of movement, the unpredictability, the laughter, the loss, the surprise. You don't have to keep score anymore. You don't have to measure your worth in progress. You can dance badly and still be the music. You can fall down and still be the ground. You can forget and still be what remembers. As you hear these words, feel how life is already breathing you, how every cell in your body is silently participating in the vast choreography of existence. You don't need to fix that. You don't need to fix you. Just let everything be as it is for a moment. Notice that even in imperfection, there's a strange and subtle harmony, a completeness that doesn't depend on your approval. When the mind stops chasing improvement, awareness begins to bloom, effortless, radiant, vast, and you realize that this simple presence is what you were searching for all along. You are not a drop trying to merge with the ocean. You are the ocean pretending to be a drop. You were never separate. You were never broken. You were never less than whole. Every pain, every doubt, every flaw, they were the waves through which you remembered your depth. And now, as the tide of awareness rises again, you can finally rest, not because everything is perfect, but because you no longer need it to be. If you can truly see this, if you can feel it, even for a single breath, then for that moment, you are free, free from the endless race of becoming, free from the weight of self-judgment, free from the illusion that you ever needed fixing. You are whole. You always were, and you always will be.